What's up, Nova Open family? We're here with another interview. We have Joe with us this evening, and I'm going to throw it over to him and let him tell us what he's got going on at Nova.
All right. Yeah, my name is Joe White. I'm the painter, owner, everything for Smooth Blend Studios. I've been painting for about 5 years now, and I've been full-time painting for a little over a year and a half. And I kind of retired from my last career, and I've been painting. And one of the real neat things is this was June 1st of 2018, and my wife was the one that said, well, why don't you try painting for full-time for a year? And I said, okay, that'd be cool. And I go, well, if I'm going to do that, I should go to this convention on the East Coast, and which was Nova Open. And so that worked out. And so I went to Nova for my first time 2 years ago and took 13 painting classes. Wow. Yeah, that's all I did. No gaming, just class after class. And it was great. And I met a lot of fantastic people, which led to last year's Nova. And I was asked to do a class for like an absolute beginner's class. And so I'm like, well, I can do that. I can show people how to base paint and, maybe, some edge highlighting or something like that. So I went and I filled out the paperwork for that. And I asked them, I said, hey, I've taught children, elementary children for 13 years at the time. I said, I would love to teach kids to paint, to get involved in this hobby that I love, that we all love. And they're like, well, that'd be great. And then in conjunction with the Kids Hammer event that they have, so I got to meet Steven and all the crew there. So last year I got to teach an absolute beginners class, as well as I believe we called it the young hobbyist class. So I did that last year, and then I was asked to come back again this year. And so I'm doing the same 2 classes and then working on another class as well.
So I love that. I love the kids aspect of this hobby. I say all the time that, if we don't get our next generation involved in the hobby and get them, playing this game and involved in the painting process and everything that goes along with it, even even reading, bits and pieces of the narrative, you have to be careful with kids and that kind of thing. But we now have, the novels that have come out that are kid friendly and that kind of thing. And I always say that it's important to get kids involved in the hobby. And I love that you're doing that. And I loved the Kids Hammer because I went over there and I did an interview with those guys and got to see some of the kids play. Oh, I loved that. And I love that you did a painting session on that. So that's really great. So tell us a little bit more about that and your involvement and just kind of like your favorite parts of Nova.
Favorite parts, just teaching kids. Again, just something I've always liked. I've always liked to teach. I spent 7 years in the military and learned to teach and train, young soldiers there. And after, I got out of the military in early 2001, and still, I like talking. I like, hanging out, telling stories, stuff like that. And I started teaching in not in a school, but at my church. I was a Sunday school teacher, and so just hanging out with these kids, and I've done that for 15 years now. And that was my last career. I was actually a youth pastor, a children's pastor for 9 years. Wow! And it's great. I bring models in and use things as illustrations, and but I never I just never got into the painting. None of the kids were ever asked me, show me how to paint. They look at stuff. And again, just seeing kids, and I like teaching adults as well, but just seeing these kids, they're fearless. The first time my massage therapist, I asked her to bring her 2 sons over to, I said, hey, I got to try out this class. I'm going to teach, and I said, I want to see how it goes. And I was thinking, okay, how long would it be? They're going to be slow, and they've never done this. And it's like they just grab a paintbrush, because I'd give them specific instructions. Hey, we're going to paint the shield with this color. And I'm thinking, okay, it's going to take them 4 minutes to do this. And they're like, you know what, paint. And they're not worried about going over. They're like, you know what, I'm just going to paint this.
Right.
And so it was fun. It was fun for me to be able to teach them and see their excitement, the excitement that I have in painting. And then, showing them, contrast paints and how that works, and this effect that they can get that's, simple. And when we're done painting a little orc, they're just like amazed by it. And I remember being amazed the first time I painted, a Star Wars miniature was the first thing I ever painted. And I was like, dry brushing, thinking, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. And kind of getting to maybe relive my, early excitement with these kids as well. And kids are just great. They're fun.
Well, Nova Open is such a great environment for families and for kids. And I love hearing that you have your sessions you're going to be leading that are focused on, introducing kids to the hobby and to painting. And there really is something special about that joy of just kind of letting loose and enjoying the process of painting models and not really getting so caught up in having it be just perfect and, this piece that you're going to put on display, but just enjoying the process and capturing something that you created. And I think it's great that you're passing that down to these kids.
I love that. Love it so much.
Absolutely. So for someone who's thinking about attending the Nova Open, what should they know about attending your classes? Are these good for, if a parent's going to bring a kid, would they both sign up, or what would that typically look like?
Yeah, I don't know if we had it in the description last year, but we definitely do this year, because the parents, they showed up, and so the kids were sitting around the tables, and the parents were in the back, and there was a few seats open. I had plenty of models, and I was like, hey, if you want to sit down and paint, they're like, well, we actually signed up for the class. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess that would be great for them to sit and, hear, for the parent to hear my instruction, so that when they get home, they can say, hey, remember how Joe said to, apply the paint this way, or have this much on the brush. They could be there. So yeah, I would highly recommend at least one of the parents with their kids. It was great. I had a mother and 3 daughters in one of my classes, and the oldest daughter was, she was on. And just all the way down, but it was a lot of fun. And I just think, growing up, I had 2 older sisters, and they're several years older than me, so I didn't have anybody to hang out with, and enjoy my hobbies with me. And I just think, man, that's a reason to have kids right there, is just so you have somebody to play against.
Right.
But the hobby, yeah. So, but no, I would definitely recommend a parent, to be there with a kid. I would say, I'm trying to think if I had, I had a couple of kids that were, kind of dropped off, or maybe the parent. I think there was one parent that was, doing some other convention thing. Their son, I think, was 10 or 11 years old, so it wasn't like they're dropping their kid off to babysit, which, hey, that's fine with me. I'll teach them to paint or whatever.
Right. Well, again, it's so cool that there's options for, an entire family that attends the Nova Open. If the parent is playing in an event, and then there's options like this for their kids. But what I really love is this is something that these families can take back home and do together. And that's really where Nova kind of is this central hub, and then you have these ripples that happen out in the community and just enrich people's lives. And there's people like you that are helping make that happen. So
if a family goes to the movies, they go to the movies, they go home, they go their separate ways. But here they're learning a little bit of a skill that they can go home and, once a week or whatever, they can come together and, hey, we could have family paint night or do something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of
game night where you all have a kill team and play against each other.
There you go. That's a great idea.
Yep, I love that. So are you involved in the Nova Open Charitable Foundation raffle this year?
Yes. Yes, I am. Last year I got to be part of the team that painted the Nova Fists.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which was an incredible undertaking for that group, and just fantastic models. this year, I asked if I could just do something just by myself instead of with a group, just because I'm doing a lot more traveling this year with my wife and just with other painting conventions and stuff. So I'm painting the Caradron Overlord warband for Underworld. So I'm looking at it, it's 5 models. And I've always wanted, like, they're so cool. They're the, shiny sky dwarves, but I've already got 3 or 4 Age of Sigmar armies. And so I was like, well, let me paint these. And that way I'll kind of, scratch the itch of wanting to, I don't know. As soon as I started painting these, I went to the hobby shop and I see the start collecting box, and I was like, let me finish the warband. But yeah, so I'll have those coming up the next few weeks. And
very nice. Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool that you're getting to explore that faction and do that for a good cause.
Oh yeah, great causes.
Very cool. Well, is there anything we need to know as far as where we can find you out there on the internet between now and the Nova Open?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page and Instagram. So they're both under Smooth Blend Studios. And yeah, I try to, I'm trying to post more regularly to those, work in progresses and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely feel free. And then of course through Facebook Messenger, through Smooth Blend Studios, any questions. And that's why any student that I ever teach, I say, contact me through that. You're a lifelong student of mine, and any questions or reminders, what you said. So it's just so easy. I'm at my painting desk now, and this is where I am about 40-50 hours a week. So when I'm not playing golf, this is where I am. So
very cool. Well, Joe, it's been so awesome getting to chat with you tonight. We can't wait to get to meet you officially when we see you at the Nova Open. But thank you so much, and you have an awesome night.
Okay, y'all too.